Folks, it's UFC Austin, and this is a great card from a fan's perspective. But guys, before we do it, a couple of weeks ago, we absolutely knocked it out of the park. Between Bellator and the UFC, the 138 MMA community, guys, we killed it. We did fantastic. It was great. It was one of the best nights we've had. Actually, is one of the best nights we had. The O'Malley beaten Sterling might have been better because we also had Holloway in that one. A couple of big dogs. I don't know. It's up there with that card for one of our best cards ever. We did great. And guys, there was a few changes we made to the channel in order to do that. Not the channel per se, but the Patreon. Patreon.com/138MMA. Now, don't take this as just a plug for the Patreon because I'm just going to explain why we did so well. What we did is we took away just the top 5 bets. And we made it the top bets. Because there were some spots on there that didn't necessarily need a full unit. And usually I place 5 bets right around a unit. There you go. Well, there was a couple of spots where I thought, all right, half unit here, quarter unit here. Let's hit them down the line. And I think we ended up with like 13 bets, and we hit a lot of them, right? 2 of which were prop bets for better than plus 600. We hit Jose Johnson by decision. We hit Jekasada inside the distance. Even though in my video I said round 1 knockout, I wanted to play it, but I didn't want to get greedy, so we took the inside the distance. Probably should have got greedy, whatever. I even said Jose Johnson 3rd round submission, but that would have been way too greedy. We took the submission. It worked out great for us, guys. But we had some other big shots with big wins, all that good stuff, Bellator and with the UFC. But guys, I post all of my recaps on Twitter, like I said. So if you're ever wondering, hey, how did 138 MMA do at the end of a card? Well, it's right there on Twitter. You're going to see it, or X. I keep calling it Twitter. It's right there. You're going to see the units we profited on with the bets. You're going to see the the wins and losses, like, 11-2, 12-1, 5-5, whatever. I hope I don't go 5-5 ever. But either way, you guys, it's there. I don't ever hide it, whether I win or lose. Usually we win, but if we lose, I don't hide it either. So there's that. Just wanted to make sure that's clear. Everybody knows it. Last thing, World of Mixed Martial Arts 5 is fantastic. Guys, we've been playing it on the channel a little bit. Hey, if you wanted to get a copy, I do believe it's still on sale. It is at the time of recording this. Hopefully it still is when this video drops on Tuesday. But 40% off. It is on sale. If you get it, the link in my description, that helps the channel. I do appreciate it very much. Doesn't cost you any extra. In fact, you got it on sale, so that's always awesome. But you can get any games from their website through that link, and it does help the channel. That is fantastic. Now, something else real quick about World Mixed Martial Arts 5. If you watched the live stream that Marcus and I did, that definitely got demonetized. In fact, it got age restricted, so you have to be signed into YouTube to watch it, and you have to be over 18 because it was pretty brutal. But we broke down some street fights. Marcus is a good friend of mine. But we wanted to do, he also likes World Mixed Martial Arts 5. He probably bought a copy from my link. I don't know. Maybe he did. He's a good guy. But either way, he likes it as well. We're going to do a live stream where we do a Ultimate Fighter kind of thing with the World of Mixed Martial Arts 5. He wants to do UFC top 16 prospects, and then we, draft them and pit them against each other or whatever. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. You guys can do that at home because you can get it with the link in the description. I know I'm talking a bunch before these fight breakdowns, but guys, we just had so much to say, and we're so excited. So check out the Patreon, get access to my notes, my top bets, as well as the Patreon parlay, which is going to be absolutely ridiculous this week because, well, if it hits, we're going to be rich, and if it doesn't, we're probably going to be out like $3. Because don't bet a lot on the Patreon parlay. It's a ridiculous parlay for a reason. Either way, guys, thank you so much. Let's get into women's flyweights up next, and it's Jamey-Lyn Horth taking on Veronica Hardy. Hardy is 2-3 in her last 5, 5-0 for Horth. Obviously, that 2-3 for Hardy, a lot of that is from quite some time ago, right? She's had one fight recently, and that was against Juliana Miller, in which she came out on top because she took a lot of time off, right? She got some injuries, some things like that. She had to come back. Here she is. Jamey-Lyn Horth, this is her 2nd time in the UFC. She got her first win over Haley Cowan up at bantamweight. Haley Cowan missed weight in that fight, so bigger girl. Jamey-Lyn Horth came out there and made her look good, or made herself look good, made Cowan look bad. Horth is 6-0, 5-0 in the last 5, so that's how that works. Anyway, the size advantage is going to be very apparent here because Horth is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach as opposed to 5'4", 64-inch reach for Hardy. Now, here's what we have to weigh in here because technically, for the striking, I think Hardy is a better striker here. She's a very good striker with very fast strikes, and she's got great movement. But she just doesn't really have a lot of power in her shots. So, technically, she's better in the striking, but doesn't have a ton of power. How is that going to translate? Well, we'll break that down in a second. In the grappling department, I think it's pretty close. I think Hardy's improved her grappling a lot. I understand Miller's not top tier UFC caliber, but Miller does have pretty good grappling, right? I understand everybody doesn't think so anymore because she lost to Veronica Hardy. Miller's got pretty good grappling. The fact that she was able to take her down and control her and stay safe on top was pretty impressive. However, her takedown defense hasn't been the best in the past, so there is that. When it comes to Horth, she's a good striker as well. She has very good kicks. Those are her best kicks, or her best weapon is her kicks, especially to the body. She's got decent combinations, very basic, simple combinations, but that's what wins fights, right? She does good basic combinations, and she's going to have more power here. She's going to be able to come forward and just probably eat a couple of Hardy's shots to land one or two of her own, and hers are going to land a lot harder because Horth is going to be the bigger, stronger, more powerful girl, so there's that. In the grappling, she's decent as well. She's got good top pressure, and she's also very hard to control. So if Hardy does secure the takedowns, I do think Horth is going to be able to get out from under there, at least, maybe not right away, but at least at some point in the round. It's a good fight, and I think there's a world where either girl can win. Hardy, what she needs to do is stay on the outside, land her 1-2s really quick, keep moving, stay on that bicycle, so to speak. Horth, what does she need to do? She needs to walk through a couple of those, get in tight, and start landing her big shots. I understand she's got the reach advantage, but she needs to control the movement of Hardy. And to do that, she's going to want to come in through those shots and start landing big. So for Horth, I think she's going to have to put that pressure on. For Hardy, I think she's going to have to circle off, use that movement, and land her shots. Now, here's the deal. Guys, Pinky, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I got to pick her. I got to take Jamey-Lyn Horth. So, Pinky, I understand you're on the opposite side. Forgive me. But Jamey-Lyn Horth is the pick. I think she gets it done. I think she's going to be able to use her power, her size, and just her pure ability to be able to get in there on Veronica Hardy, use the striking, use the grappling, and just out-muscle her and out-physical her. I guess not even just out-muscle her, just be more physical. So I'm taking Jamey-Lyn Horth. But let me know what you think in the comments. Pinky, I already know you disagree. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll see you next. Our next, Wellington Turman takes on Jared Gooden. Jared Gooden's 3-2 in the last 5, 2-3 for Turman. Both guys 6 foot tall. Gooden has a bit of a reach advantage of 77 inches as opposed to 72 inches for Turman. This is an interesting fight, okay? Jared Gooden coming back. This is his second stint in the UFC. Came in, fought Carlston Harris. Did not win that fight, but he looked good in moments. He's got good boxing. Good volume. He's going to pump the jab out there. He's got a good leg kick he mixes in with his boxing, so that helps him as well. He does keep his hands pretty low, though, and his striking defense suffers because of it. He's got decent head movement, though. And I know that people say he doesn't have good head movement, but he just kind of like gets it off the center line a lot of the time when he's throwing his punches, and that helps, but he also still gets hit a lot. He is pretty durable, though. He's got decent wrestling as well. Takedown defense is there. He can mix in the takedowns of his own. But I do think he primarily wants to keep this in a striking matchup, especially against Wellington Turman. Because Turman is a good jiu-jitsu player. He's got good top pressure. He's going to look for the submission when it's on the mat. He's going to get the sweeps going. He's got all the options there. In the striking, it's still developing, but he's shown improvement in every single fight. And he actually looked okay in his last matchup against Randy Brown. The leg kick is something that really shone through. He did start to use that leg kick pretty well, and I think he's able to land that here as well. I was trying to give myself a reason to pick Gooden as the underdog, and I really want to, but I can't bring myself to do it. I'm going to take Wellington Turman, and the reason why, I'm seeing improvements from Wellington Turman, and Jared Gooden has been about the same that we've kind of expected, which I think is pretty good, right? He's 22-9 for a reason. It's a pretty good record. I think we're going to see a few more improvements out of Wellington Turman this time out. And if I'm wrong, well, then so be it. And I don't ever have to pick him again. But I don't know that I've ever actually picked Wellington Turman. I don't know that I have. But I am in this matchup because I do see the improvements coming. And I think he might be able to put it together here. So I'm taking Wellington Turman as the least confident pick on the entire card. And that's saying something because we've got some that I'm really not confident in. But let me know who you have. In fact, I actually had to go back at the end. This is the last video I'm recording to decide which fight this was. I didn't have it marked. So there you go. Peek behind the curtain. I'll see you guys in the next heavyweights next. Potieria takes on Rodolfo Bellato. Bellato 4-1 in the last 5, 3-2 for Potieria. For Bellato, he's a good grappler. He's going to attack submissions. He's going to work really well at getting people up against the cage and just grinding on them with that cage push. Nasty elbows and knees from there as well. If he gets the fight to the mat, he's got very good top control, but if he's on his back, he's going to be very active looking for submissions, looking for sweeps, things like that. Problem is his open mat takedowns aren't really there. He does need some work on those. He can get them against the cage, but even then, a lot of the times it's kind of it's a work, right? He's really trying to get those takedowns. He has to really work for it. Decent striking. He's got a good front kick or knee up the middle. He's able to use those at range and then to close in. So, right, he's got the range with the front kick, and then as the opponent comes in, that knee's there. But problem is he throws a lot of single shots. He's got power in the hands, but single shots. He's not putting together combinations, and that's something you'd like to see from a guy that has the power, has all these tools. He's just a lot of single shots. Maybe he'll change that this fight. We're going to find out. Now, for Potieria, dude will put together combinations. He's a very powerful striker, and he's going to come forward with a burst of strikes. He's just going to come in, throw his bursts of 3-4 punches or whatever, and it's kind of like a combination, but it's also just kind of like an aggressive blitz forward. And then that's okay. We're gonna try it again. We're gonna restart type of thing. But his striking defense isn't the best, especially when he blitzes in. He leaves himself wide open, and he doesn't check leg kicks ever. And when he attempts to, it doesn't really work successfully because it's usually far too late. His cardio also falls off a cliff after the first round. So here's the thing: Potieria is very dangerous early. Bellato should be the better fighter, but in that first round, Potieria is a very live underdog. I'm going to pick Bellato for the sake of the pick, but these odds have gotten crazy, so I don't really see any value there, but I do have to make a pick. I'm not going to be silly and pick the guy that I think only has about a 2 to 3 minute window to get the win. So I'm going to take Bellato to get this one done. If he gets knocked out in the first round, I won't be extremely surprised. But either way, let me know who you have. I love hearing from you guys in the comments below, and I'll see you. Featherweights are up next. Steve Garcia takes on Melk Costa. Both guys 3-2 in their last 5 fights. For Costa, he's a good striker. Puts his combinations together very well, mixes the punches and kicks in that. He's got a good body kick with that roundhouse kick, but he also has good front kicks and knees up the middle. They work well as a spear for somebody that has forward pressure coming at you. He can use that front kick or that knee to stop that opponent as if they're running into a spear, slow down that forward pressure, and then he can get into his combinations. He does a good job at that. Good tie clinch as well. Good knees from there. Jiu-jitsu, off of his back, he's going to be seeking submissions. He's very active in doing so. He'll go for the sweep, but that's typically second after he looks for a submission or two. For Garcia, dude's a good boxer with a ton of forward pressure, good movement on the feet. He's got a lot of volume and a lot of power. Now, it's knockdown power, not like one shot, put your lights out power, but he'll knock you down, and he does a good job of following it up. He's got good wrestling, takedown defense. He does well there, and I think he's going to be able to stop takedowns from Costa, and if it does end up on the mat, I think he's going to end up on top. Now, top control when he gets there is pretty good, and the ground and pound is there for him all day. Here's the thing, guys. I have a hard time picking against Steve Garcia after that Jamey-Lyn Nordembeka fight because there was somebody in my comments. I had picked Steve Garcia, and it was a pretty low confidence pick for me at the time. But they just kept on me about how Jamey-Lyn was the easiest pick in the card, free money. Can't believe I was so dumb as to pick Steve Garcia. If you're watching this video, I am glad that you're still sticking around the channel after that, because a lot of people would have ran away feeling with their tail between their legs in shame because of how much smack that they talked about Nordembeka getting the win. And then I ended up betting Steve Garcia just out of spite more than anything, and it cashed for me. So thank you, troll commenter in the comments. I do appreciate it very much. Thank you, thank you. Please leave all your troll comments down below. I don't mind them a bit. They do help the algorithm, and I don't care if you're arguing, so let's do it. But it's hard to pick against Steve Garcia after that. But putting that aside, I'm going to this time. And I think it's because I think Costa, I think he's going to be able to land a little bit more of what is necessary to get the win on the judges' card. I think it probably goes to decision. I think both guys, I think it's going to be one of those fights where a lot of people think it's going to end early, and these guys just go back and forth, and it ends up being a close fight going to decision. And I'm going to lean Costa, but real slight. I think he's going to win on the scorecards. Something about him, people like him. They tend to gravitate towards him, and I think in a razor-thin matchup, he's going to end up getting it. Give me Costa, but zero confidence in this pick. And I swear, if somebody's in the comments heckling me over this one, I'm not going to bet it. I'm not betting a favorite in Costa in this matchup. If anything, I would bet the Garcia side. Anyway, let me know who you have. I'll see you guys in the next one. I appreciate your feedback, even the trolls. Bout next, and real quick, if you haven't done so already, take some time to like this video. I do appreciate it very much. Joe Solecki takes on Klose in this one. Both guys 4-1 in their last 5 fights. Both guys with 13 wins. Their records is so close to identical that it's crazy. Short of being identical, that's as close as you can get. Anyway, this is a close fight, dare I say. Klose, he's a good striker with combinations accuracy, and he's got pretty good volume as well. On the feet, he's by far the better fighter. He's a better striker on the feet by a lot, right? Grappling, he's pretty good, right? He's got pretty good defense as far as takedowns, submission defense. Yes, he has some offensive abilities, but I think it's best if he just avoids that in this matchup here, particularly because, well, he's going against Joe Solecki, who, in the striking department, basically his wrestling sets up his striking, and that's it. He throws a lot of single shots, doesn't have the best striking in general, but he will land a few shots on you just because of the wrestling threat, because he doesn't have solid grappling. He's got decent takedowns. They're not the best, but once he gets the fight to the mat, he's got excellent top pressure. He's going to lock up your limbs. He's going to stay safe on top and just grind on you until you give up your back. He's going to take that back and then take your neck with it because he's going to get the RNC. That's what he does. I have a hard time with this fight. I was originally on Solecki, and then I was on Klose, and then I was back on Solecki. I think now I'm back on Klose. This one might change. This one I could be swayed. And if you see a community post come out this week saying I switched my pick, don't be surprised. But as of right now, I'm going to take Drakkar Klose in this razor-thin, close matchup. I'm going to take Drakkar Klose simply because I do think he's a better striker, and I think his grappling is good enough to keep the fight on the feet for enough of the fight. I have zero confidence in this, but I'm going to take Drakkar Klose. If this fight switches, I will let you know. But right now we're at Drakkar Klose. Let me know who you have. I understand most people are picking Klose. I don't feel that good about it, but I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll see you in the next fight. Middleweights next. Cody Brundage takes on Zach Reese. Reese is 6-0 on the career, 5-0 in the last 5. He's making his UFC debut after an impressive win on the Contender Series. For Cody Brundage, 2-3 in the last 5. That last win was a DQ win, but a win nonetheless. Brundage is going to be at a disadvantage in the height and reach at 6 foot with a 72-inch reach as opposed to the 6'4", 77-inch reach of Reese. Interesting matchup because Zach Reese, there's not a ton of tape on him. The guy's only 6-0 in his career, right? And he finishes all these fights very early in the first round. So we don't really know a ton about Zach Reese, but what we do know, it does look pretty good from what we've seen. The guy's a good striker with a ton of power. He puts together combinations, and he can throw all the stuff together in those combinations, whether that be punches, kicks, knees, or elbows. He's going to put them in there in a nice little combination, land heavy, and probably put your lights out. Now, wrestling, he's pretty good there too. He's got powerful slams, and when he gets you on the mat, he's got absolutely heavy ground and pound, putting your head through the canvas. He's going to do all this very quickly in the first round, most likely, because that's what he does in every single fight. Zach Reese is a Terminator walking forward, landing big shots. That's what he does. Okay, so for Cody Brundage, when he's on, he's a good wrestler with pretty good takedowns, pretty good top control. He's a powerful striker, but he never really has good striking defense. That's always, and he pulls guard way too many times looking for that guillotine. And yeah, he's got a decent guillotine, but guillotines are just not super successful. So a lot of times he ends up on his back, and then he gets stuck there. Cody Brundage in his last few fights just has not looked like he wants to be there, and that's not what you want to see out of a fighter. I understand maybe Cody Brundage is, maybe I'm misinterpreting what his body language is telling me, but what I'm understanding from what I'm seeing is a guy that does not want to be in there. So for me, I think it's Zach Reese all day. I think he's going to walk forward. I think he's going to land heavy, and I think he's going to get it done in the first round. Zach Reese is the pick, probably by knockout, but let me know what you have. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you in the women's bantamweight division. Miesha Tate takes on Julia Avila. Avila is 4-1 in her last 5, 1-4, the inverse for Tate. This one's interesting because both girls have been very inactive as of late for various different reasons. Tate retired. Avila, might have been an injury. I think she had a kid, stuff like that. Either way, both of these ladies have been away from the octagon for quite some time. For Julia Avila, though, we're gonna go off of what we know from her, and we're gonna do our best to say that still applies. So good striking, and when she comes forward, she's got a ton of pressure, ton of volume, and decent power. But I think the just aggressive and savage nature of her striking makes her seem more powerful. When she crashes in, she throws knees and elbows with violence, which is what you want, and she's got good flurries in those strikes. When she gets to the grappling realm, so in the cage push, she's extremely violent there as well. It's kind of like a hybrid between grappling and striking because she's not really up against the cage, just pushing her opponents there and doing what she got to do like a lot of fighters are. She's like in on it, and then she's back out and landing, and then back in on it. She does a very good job with it. Great ground and pound when she gets on top of opponents, but her takedown defense isn't the best. She does start very quickly, though, so she can overwhelm opponents early on and just land with reckless abandon, let's put it that way. So I do like a lot about Avila. Only thing that really concerns me is the takedown defense, right? For Tate, she's got good grappling, and she's got decent takedowns. And if she gets this fight to the mat, she can take the back. She's got good control. She can start working for rear naked chokes, things like that. She's pretty gosh darn good in the grappling. I think she's probably the better skill-for-skill grappler here if this was just a grappling match. I do think that the addition of strikes does change that just a little bit. I think it makes it a little bit closer, but I do think she's the better grappler, even though I've rated them both as good. In the striking, she's a good striker. I think she's got good combinations. I mean, you know, they're simple, effective combinations, right? She's not doing anything crazy, but they're simple and they're effective. Her kicks are her best weapon. She does have a quick front kick up the middle, can go to the face or the body, does a good job there, and she is going to pump the jab out there, right? Both ladies are good strikers, but Avila is the better striker. I think Avila has more miles left in the tank, and I'm going to take her to win this fight for that reason. So give me a Julia Avila. I think she's going to be too aggressive and land too much early on against someone like Miesha Tate. So Avila's the pick. Let me know who you have, and I will. And for the middleweights, we have Punahele Soriano taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus is 1-4 in his last 5, 2-3 for Soriano. Neither guy looking that great in their last 5 fights. Stoltzfus, decent striking. The kicks are his best weapon. He does have some power in the hands. It's you know, decent power, but he's not getting a lot of one-shot knockouts. In fact, I think he has one on the regional scene, if I'm not mistaken, where it was just a one-shot, put the guy down. But you know, a lot of times his knockouts are coming from, you know, accumulation. Hit you, follow it up, get some ground and pound, whatever. But the kicks are nice. He does throw pretty good kicks. He's quick with them, snaps them up to the head, no problem. You know, good leg kick. You know, mixes them up to different levels, things like that. Grappling. He's a good grappler, believe it or not. I know the 1-4 in the last 5 fights does not really show that, but he's a good grappler. He's got the slams. We saw him get Joe Pyfer out of there with that, but he's done that as well on the regional scene. And speaking of the regional scene, prior to the UFC, he's shown a very large toolbox. If you go back and look at some of the submission wins that he has, he's got everything from a twister to a knee bar to, you know, your standard stuff like your arm triangles or whatever. He's got a large toolbox of weapons, and he's got good sweeps, and he's going to attack those submissions while sweeping, which he did with that knee bar finish that he got on the regional scene. So the guy is a good grappler. The problem is, in the UFC, we've just not seen it. So we don't know if that's because the competition was lower, and, like, you know, put me in there against somebody that's never grappled before, and I'm going to look great too. And I'm just kind of all right. But Dustin Stoltzfus, like I said, he does have grappling skills. It's just what level is it? We don't really know because in the UFC we haven't seen it, right? So for Soriano, good striker. He's got power, he's got movement, and he's very durable. That's basically what he does. He's going to move, he's going to come in, he's going to land big power shots, and that's what he does. And he takes a couple shots, and it's no big deal. He's got good wrestling offensively. He's got good takedowns. His takedown defense isn't great, and he can get stuck off his back. I don't know that Stoltzfus is going to be able to get in and get those takedowns consistently. So it just depends on how stuck on his back Soriano gets and how early in a round it is, whether or not Stoltzfus can break that round. I do think on the feet, Punahele Soriano is going to be able to get in there, land those big shots, and I think he's going to be able to probably get the win due to that. Whether it goes late or he gets the knockout early, I do think Soriano's going to be able to get it done. So I'm taking Soriano to get the win. Part of that's just because I don't see Stoltzfus getting a win in the UFC anytime soon. So anyway, let me know who you have. I'm on the Soriano side. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. I don't have any confidence picking a guy who's 2-3 in his last 5, though. So there it is for what it is. All right, see you guys. Here we are in the lightweight division. We have Guida taking on Joaquim Silva. Both guys 2-3 in their last 5 fights. So this is an interesting matchup, folks. The age difference, 34 for Silva, 41 for Guida. Both guys 2-3. It's an interesting matchup. Like I said, Silva hasn't fought a ton lately. Had that matchup against Tsarukyan. Did pretty well considering. I mean, he, dropped him at one point. Didn't look great outside of that, but he did drop him, and that looked pretty darn good. Definitely won in that round. For Silva, he's a darn good striker, and it's the counters that are probably his best thing. His counter-striking and that power, right? That's what you see out of Silva, counter-striking and power. Does a darn good job there. Now, he's got good jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong. He's very active from his back. He's got good sweeps. He will look for submissions. He doesn't have a ton of wins by submission at this point, but he does have that in his back pocket. He's got the skills for it. Just has to come along, right? For Clay Guida, we know what he's going to do. He's got insane pacing cardio, and that's how he wins fights. He's going to come forward. He's going to use his wrestling, just shooting takedown after takedown, the volume of takedowns. He's just getting guys up against the cage. He's got great scrambles. But his submission defense, we all know that's where he gets caught, is in submissions. He puts his head in the wrong spot, gets caught. It's the end of him, right? He's got decent striking, and it's not because the striking's all that great. It's just the forward pressure and the volume and the durability of him it makes it really tough to get him out of there. He's just going to keep coming forward and just landing stuff. And even if you hit him, he drops, bounces to a knee, and comes right back up and just tries to shoot another takedown on you. I'm trying to talk myself out of taking Clay Guida here, and I can't do it at these odds. I'm letting the odds dictate this one a little bit, because if you gave me these two at pretty close, I understand why Silva probably should win. But gosh darn it, I'm taking Clay Guida. Yeah, I can't not do it. I think he's going to get a decision. I think he's going to be able to do it. I think he's going to win just by being the more aggressive, higher output, cardio guy. And you know what? If at 41 he goes in there and gets chin checked or submitted, all right, I'll get that one wrong. I'm taking Guida, though. I do think he's going to win on the scorecards. But let me know what you have. Let me know if I'm a total idiot. I don't understand if you think I am. But let me know, because that's what helps the algorithm. So do that. Also, like the video while you're down there. Right, see you guys. Welterweight matchup that we've all been looking forward to seeing. It is Kelvin Gastelum taking on Sean Brady. Brady is 4-1 the last 5, 2-3 on the Gastelum side. For Kelvin Gastelum, he's down here at welterweight now after spending a lot of time up at middleweight. Previously, he was at welterweight, back coming off the Ultimate Fighter, things like that, in the early part of his career. Here he is, back down at welterweight after spending some time at middleweight, fighting the likes of the best in the division, including like Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, all those guys. He's fought all the best at middleweight at the time that he was there. He fought them. And now here he is down at welterweight. He sounds like he's getting things under control with the weight, making it so he can, fight at the weight class that probably is better suited for his height. So there we go. For Kelvin Gastelum, dude's got good boxing. He's got good power. He's got good movement, volume, and he's tough as nails, as durable as they get. He's going to come forward. He's going to land shots. He's going to put together combinations. He's going to work the body, and he does a good job of doing all of those things. For Kelvin Gastelum, the boxing is going to shine better at welterweight, I do believe, because he's not going to be he's not going to have as big of a height disadvantage as he did at middleweight with all of his opponents. The wrestling, it's kind of what got him to the dance, right? He started as a wrestler, learned the striking along the way. He's become more of a striker, but he's got good wrestling. He can get the takedowns, but once he does, he get good top control. He doesn't go for takedowns as often as he used to. In fact, he prefers the strike, it seems. Got good takedown defense, though. Does a good job with that. For Sean Brady's striking, let's talk about that first. It's not that good. It's decent, I guess. He's got a good leg kick, and he's got a good overhand. The overhand's just set up by the threat of the takedown. Striking defense isn't great, and we all understand that he didn't look so good in his last matchup that did end up as a striking matchup. But if he gets to the mat, Sean Brady is the real deal. This man uses the cage to get his takedowns, because his open mat takedowns aren't really there. But if you can get your back to the cage, he's locking down that takedown. He's getting you to the mat. He's got excellent control, and especially from half guard. Once he gets to half guard, you are absolutely stuck. You're not getting out from that. He's got good topside chokes, whether that be the arm triangle, which is, he has a nasty squeeze there, or the single arm guillotine that he does without having to give up control to go for it, right? A lot of times guillotines, you think, on the bottom, give it up position. No, not for Sean Brady. He does it from the top, and he does it with a single arm. He also uses his ground and pound to bait his opponents into reacting a certain way, in which he can use that to either advance position or then go for the submission. I'm going to take Sean Brady. And the reason why, I know a lot of people are picking Kelvin Gastelum. He's an underdog, and I understand it. But I'm going to take Sean Brady because I think with Gastelum, sometimes he is willing to take a step back and go up against the cage. And I think it only takes one time getting his back up against the cage for the rest of that round for him to either be stuck against the cage or on the mat. Because Sean Brady, once he gets in position, his control is phenomenal. And I think he's just got to do that twice. 2 rounds out of 3. And he's going to get the win, because I don't think that Gastelum is going to be able to get back up once Brady gets on top. Maybe I'll be wrong, and if I am wrong, hey, let me know in the comments. Come back to this video and tell me I'm a dummy. That's okay. For Sean Brady, though, I do think if he gets this fight to the mat, the grappling advantage is going to be there for him. He's going to have a big problem in the striking. But he just needs to get Kelvin Gastelum's back to the cage once in each round, and I think that's it. So I'm going to take Sean Brady. I do think he gets it done and gets back on track. But let me know who you have, and let me know why you're probably picking Kelvin Gastelum in the comments below. Thank you so much. Banger of a bantamweight matchup here next. We have Rob Font taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, the last 5 fights for these guys, it doesn't do it justice, because 2-3 for Font, 2-2 and a draw for Figueiredo. That doesn't look that good, right? Like I said, if you start with a 2 on your last 5 fights, it's just not a good sign. But these guys are fighting the top of the top in the division. In fact, Deiveson Figueiredo is not that far away removed from a championship. Back and forth fights with Brandon Moreno. 4 fights in their matchup. You know, won 1, lost 1, draw 1, settled it up. He ended up losing. Whatever. It was quite the series, right? Because it's why the last 5 looks this way for Davis and Figueiredo, because 4 of those fights were against Brandon Moreno. So now he moves up to bantamweight. Okay, so he's taking on Rob Font, who's been fighting the who's who in the division. He did not look so great in his last matchup, but he's looked pretty good in other fights before that, right? He is going to have a height and reach advantage here. Pretty good one, too. He's 5'8", with a 71.5-inch reach, as opposed to 5'5" with a 68-inch reach for Figueiredo. Now, Figueiredo's 68-inch reach is pretty good for someone 5'5", because that is actually a 5'8" wingspan. Well, both guys have pretty long arms, because Rob Font's also got a long wingspan for 5'8". Now, in this one, Figueiredo, okay, both of these guys are very, very talented. I want to point that out right now. For Figueiredo, though, we're going to start here. He's a good striker. He's got good forward pressure, and he's got good power. And the power is amplified then by the accuracy, because he's extremely accurate in his punches. He does work the body. He's got excellent kicks, and the leg kicks in particular are devastating. The thing is, sometimes he gets a little bit too patient looking to pick his shots, and I think a lot of times that's because it's 5-round fights that he's used to fighting. Now, how is that going to translate in this 3-round fight? That we don't know. Is he going to still kind of fall back on those tendencies? Is he going to turn on the gas a little earlier? What is he going to do? But he does keep his hands a little bit low sometimes while he's looking to land those big shots, and I don't like that against Rob Font. I'm going to tell you why in a little bit, but that is a red flag against Rob Font. But either way, I do love the power. I do love the kicks, the leg kicks in particular, especially against a boxing-style striker like Rob Font. So there's a lot of things to like in the striking from Figueiredo. There's a couple of things not to like as well. In the jiu-jitsu department, I think he's a much better grappler here. Now, not to say Font has bad grappling. I'm just saying Figueiredo has very good jiu-jitsu. Guy's got nasty chokes. In fact, it's a very tight squeeze. He's going to put your head off. He's going to try to pull your head off while he's putting your lights out with those chokes. He's got good scrambles. He can sweep from the bottom as well, and oftentimes he'll go for a submission in order to get the sweep. He's got decent takedowns, but he doesn't go to them a ton because they do seem to fatigue him a lot, right? Because a lot of times what he has to do is just shoot for these takedowns and use some muscle, use some power, try to get the takedown that way. Or, you know, when he gets in there and gets the trips, and those aren't going to be as fatiguing, but a lot of times when he starts going for takedowns, it does fatigue him to get the fight to the mat. However, he's not making those big weight cuts anymore, at least not as big, so maybe that won't be the case up at bantamweight. Now, for Rob Font, dude's a solid striker. He's got that boxing style, right? He's got good volume. He's very accurate as well. He's got good footwork, and he's got fast hands to match. The jab is his best weapon. The jab is by far his best weapon, and it comes from either stance, but he's got no tell on that sucker. It just comes out really quick, way better than mine, and he changes up the tempo on his jab, whether he's, you know, sticking out like 1-1, you know, 1-1-2, like, you know, whatever. He's changing the tempo on his jab to mix that up and not tell you when it's coming, and he's just going to keep pumping that jab over and over and over, and he does a darn good job with it. So the jab is going to be the best weapon for Rob Font in this, especially against a guy with low hands looking to land those big power shots. He's going to start getting those hands to come up here, and that's going to throw off that sneaky angle that, you know, you get where he's ripping those big shots like this and landing that hook over the top. So that's going to slow that down from Figueiredo, because he's going to have to start keeping his hands right here to stop the jab. And then what happens when Font starts going to the body, right? So that's what's going to happen next, because that jab is going to set up the jab rear uppercut or jab rear hook. He does those very well off of that jab. So for Rob Font, I do like that from him a lot. The grappling, takedown defense, it's not that good. We don't like that. He gets stuck on his back sometimes. He did in his last matchup, and that's what happens. However, he's got good submission defense. He stays pretty safe down there. But the ground and pound, if he gets on top, is actually pretty gosh darn good. I don't think he's getting on top in this matchup. I could be wrong, but I put it in there anyway. I wanted to pick Figueiredo, but something's telling me Font's going to be able to get it done by working that jab and just voluming him over 3 rounds. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Rob Font. I think he's going to be able to land a little bit better volume. I understand both guys are accurate. I understand both guys can land on each other, but I think the height and reach, the more volume, and I think he's going to be just a little bit quicker to the punch. So I'm going to take Rob Font in this one, but it's a close fight, and I don't fault you for picking either guy. But let me know who you have in the comments below. I do appreciate it very much. Appreciate you taking your time to comment on this video. It helps me a lot. I'll see you guys in the next co-main event of the evening. Out is Dan Hooker. In is Jamey-Lyn Turner. who actually just fought Dan Hooker, lost to him via split decision. Good fight. Dan Hooker rightfully won, but now Jamey-Lyn Turner steps in, short notice, to replace the man he lost to in that matchup in the 155-pound division to take on Bobby Green. Now, please, if you haven't done so already, take this time to go like the video. For those of you that already have, give yourself a round of applause. I appreciate you guys very much. You are fantastic human beings. For Bobby Green, he is 2-2 in a no contest in his last 5 fights. Anytime that a last 5 starts with a 2, it doesn't look that good. But I want to say that Bobby Green, the losses are to high-level competition. He's losing to guys like Islam Makhachev, Drew Dober, who he looked good against in the first round. The no contest, it is what it is. Either way, Bobby Green, the last 5 is just, it is better than it looks, right? 3-2 for Turner, also better than it looks because the 2 losses are both split decisions. So those, you know how it is. It's a split decision. So anyway, Bobby Green's older and shorter, and that's not good. He's 37, and he's 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Not good in this matchup. He's Jamey-Lyn Turner, 28, 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach. However, Turner's taking this fight on short notice, less than 2 weeks if I am correct. So that gives Bobby Green a little bit of an advantage there. So even though these are not on the Bobby Green side here, the short notice nature for Turner is not exactly good. There's a big weight cut for him. We all know. I'm not going to say he won't make weight. That's silly. We don't know that. We're going to find out. But I won't be surprised if he does miss because, I mean, 9 days notice, and he's a big dude. He's a large human being. So, for Bobby Green, dude's a slick boxer, right? He's got good head movement, uses that shoulder roll, pretty darn good volume, and his punches are coming from odd angles, down by his hips while he's moving his head, snaps them up like that. Does mean he keeps his hands a little low, which is kind of scary at times. I mean, you know, he's been hit before, so there is that, but he does have good volume, and he does have good strikes, and he does put together combinations. He does a good job with the boxing. So, Bobby Green is a slick boxer, but the hands low does scare me against a guy that's got a big reach advantage on him and a big height advantage on him. So that is something to take note of. Anyway, good wrestling for Bobby Green as well. That's what got him to the dance originally. He was originally just a wrestler, right? But not anymore. Now he's a boxer. He's got slick boxing. But he can still wrestle. He's got a good sprawl, good scrambles, and if he decided to mix in the takedowns, he could probably get a few of them. He's got good cardio, and I think he's going to have the better cardio in this matchup because he's not taking a short notice fight. And he's not making a massive weight cut on 9 days' notice. I think it was 9 days. Anyway, so for Jamey-Lyn Turner, dude's a good striker as well. He uses his range very well. He'll keep opponents on the back foot while still moving forward and landing his shots, keeping them at the end of his punches. That's really important because a lot of people, when they're trying to back guys up, they crowd themselves and they start just throwing like hooks and you know, looping overhands and stuff like that. Not Jamey-Lyn Turner. He can keep you at the end of his punches with his range while backing you down, and that's a good thing for him. He does not crowd himself up against the cage as he crashes forward, so that's very impressive. He's got good volume, good power. Those long, rangy guys typically do. They do have good power, that is. Knees up the middle. It doesn't take a lot for him to get that knee to somebody's chin, and he's got good long straights like I just mentioned. So for Jamey-Lyn Turner, the striking's there. The natural advantages do help that quite a bit. When it comes to grappling, he's got a very slick front choke that he uses often as he sprawls from a takedown and then locks up a Darce or Anaconda. He's got a good set of front chokes. He's got solid ground and pound if he ends up on top. However, if he's not locking up that choke, he can be taken down. Now, he does work back to his feet typically. He's hard to hold down, but he can be taken down. This fight is interesting. I think the odds are silly. I'm going to take Bobby Green. I'm going to take Bobby Green because he's in a better cardio, and I think as the fight goes on, it's going to favor Bobby Green, and I just don't think Turner's getting him out of there in the first round. I think the third round is going to be all Bobby Green. First round could be Turner. Second round could go either way, and if you're going to give me Bobby Green at about plus 200 or better, gosh darn it, I'm going to take Bobby Green. So let's go Bobby Green for the win in this co-main event. Let me know who you have, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Here we are, guys, the main event of the evening. And if you haven't done so already, this is your last reminder to like the video. And real quick, I appreciate the channel members. For only $2.99 a month, you guys are supporting the channel, doing the darn thing, keeping the lights on, helping me get more markers for the board, all that good stuff. So thank you, guys. You can do that by hitting the join button below this video if you want to be part of those channel members. Get a nice little badge next to your name. Shows how long you've been a part of it. Get some cool emojis, all that good stuff. I appreciate all you channel members. Thank you so much. Now, let's break down this main event. We have a lightweight matchup between Tsarukyan and Dariush. Both guys, 4-1 in their last 5 fights. Although, I do think Tsarukyan won that fight against Gamrot, but whatever. We're here anyway. So, let's start with the Tsarukyan side since we're already talking about him. Dude's got solid wrestling. He's got great takedowns, good takedown defense. When he gets on top, his ground and pound can be absolutely savage, and he's very good at controlling guys while he's doing that and staying safe on top. So when it comes to the striking, though, he's very unorthodox, right? He's got good power. He's got good pressure. The hands, it's not traditional, and it looks all right, but the kicks are very clean. He's got good striking defense as well, and I think it's because a lot of times he's keeping their range, and then when he does close into range, he's looking for takedowns. He does a lot of different stuff on the feet. I do like it. It's good stuff. But I do think that the better striker is going to be Beneil Dariush. He's got solid striking, good combinations. He often ends his combinations with a leg kick, which is great because he does have good leg kicks. Nasty body kicks as well, just kicks in general. He's extremely accurate. He's got good volume. And I like the way he closes distance with a flying knee. So for him, he's a guy that struggles to close distance traditionally, right? I struggled with this as well back in my days. So to close distance, the flying knee is your best friend because what you do, you launch that flying knee, and you can't really block a flying knee. If you don't believe me, have your buddies try it. Come see me, I'll show you how it works. You have a flying knee is coming at you. You can't really block it, right? Because it's even if you block it, it still lands, essentially. It's a lot of force. It's a big, sharp, pointy knee running right into you, right? So for Dariush, to combat that struggle to close distance, he uses that flying knee. And oftentimes, whether the flying knee lands flush or not, he ends up in the tie clinch, which is where he wants to get in that instance. Because in the tie clinch, that's where you can control guys, use that tie plum, get the trips, start working elbows, knees, whatever he wants to do, push him up against the cage. That's what he uses to close that distance. So if other guys that struggle to close distance could adapt a flying knee similar to Dariush, I think they'd have a lot of success because he does it well. Anyway, I kind of went on a tangent there. In the grappling department, Dariush has good takedowns as well. He's a solid grappler in general. He's got good scrambles. He's a back taker, and he's got good submissions from everywhere. I think this is a very close fight. I think this is a very good fight. And I'm going to take Beneil Dariush. Again, when you give me somebody at over plus 200 odds, and darn it, I think they're going to win, or it's a razor-thin fight, I'm going to take him. So darn it, Dariush is the pick for the main event. I think he's going to be able to be the better striker, and I think in the grappling it's going to be very close. So for me, give me Beneil Dariush. Let me take that money, and we're going to get it done. So let me know who you have in the comments below. It's the main event, so I do want to hear from you guys. Thank you guys for watching. It means the world to me, and I will see you next time.